We have a good court decision to tell you today regarding the pandemic and guidelines. There is a Dallas County judge that has ruled against Texas Governor Greg Abbott's move to ban mask mandates in the state. Now, if you're watching from another country, for example, and you're in a country that makes a little more sense than the United States, thanks to the Republican Party, you might assume if governors are going to get involved with mask mandates, you would think governors would say, "Hey, I'm not leaving it up to the local level. All schools must have a mask requirement in place for the time being, for the upcoming fall semester, in order to prevent the spread." But you would be wrong. The involvement of governors in mask mandates, particularly in red states, places like Florida. Florida's a very 50-50 state, but with Ron DeSantis, the Republican governor, Texas with Greg Abbott, the involvement of governors has been to ban mask mandates, or at least to try to ban vaccine requirements, or at least to try to. And a Dallas County judge says, no, you can't enforce it. You can't do it. You can't ban mask mandates if that is what municipalities or schools or whoever wants to do. Judge Tanya Parker sided with Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins on Wednesday, issuing a temporary injunction against Abbott's ban on mask mandates. The move will allow Jenkins' mask order, in addition to similar policies in other local school districts, to remain in place for the time being. Jenkins will now have the ability to issue penalties to individuals who don't comply with the county's policy, which requires that masks are worn in businesses, schools, and county-owned buildings. Parker wrote in the ruling that Jenkins proved that Dallas County residents, quote, will suffer probable, imminent, and irreparable injury through County Judge Jenkins being precluded from exercising his authority to mandate masks in public. So what the decision is, and sometimes it's like, was something banned, or was the ban banned, or did they ban bans on bans? Okay, you get it. The decision here is the governor can't ban mask requirements as an umbrella decision or direction. The controversy in Dallas began when Commissioner J.J. Koch filed a lawsuit against Jenkins earlier this month after being removed from a courtroom for refusing to wear a mask. Jenkins responded by filing a lawsuit against Abbott over an executive order he signed that banned mask mandates. If you think this is the end of the road for this, it is not. The temporary injunction will likely be appealed to the Fifth Court of Appeals in Dallas and then to the Texas Supreme Court before a final ruling is made. Abbott's office said in a statement it believes in the state attorney general's ability to defend the executive order. Imagine for a moment not only the money that could be saved, but potentially the number of infections that could be prevented, hospitalizations that could be prevented, and some number of deaths that could be prevented if, instead of focusing on banning public safety guidelines, instead the Texas governor and his office focused on encouraging vaccination, encouraging safety protocol, and working to actually get beyond the pandemic, rather than these pathetic shows about liberty and freedom and whatever else. But unfortunately, we see it as not only a waste of time, but as something that's bad for public health. The Republican Party, particularly in these red states, is about obstructing, bringing down anything and anyone who is trying to make a positive impact under the guise of so-called freedom and liberty. And unless they start losing, they are probably going to continue doing this for a long time because, as I've said before, they've completely abandoned policy. And if you think this is the only thing that Greg Abbott is doing, no, yesterday, actually, Executive Order GA 39, this is a vaccine mandate ban. And the idea here is to prohibit vaccine mandates and vaccine passports subject to legislative action. So while this is getting struck down, he's trying to prevent vaccine mandates and vaccine requirements. And they claim to be about liberty, freedom, and not regulating business. But yet they're going out of their way to say we need the government to ban a private business from making whatever decision is right for them. Normally, these are the people who say, if something is the right decision for a business, or even if it's the wrong decision, but they think it's the right decision, they should be free to make that mistake or to take the correct action. except when they want to say, hey, you know what? It would be really bad for our business for unvaccinated people to come in and start spreading the virus. So we're going to require proof of vaccination. Oh, no, no, no. Now we need the full power of government to regulate these people. Not surprising. They've been hypocrites for a very, very long time. And hopefully, I mean, we're sort of in a race here, not only against the virus, but we're in a judicial race of sorts where we're constantly needing courts to weigh in and to prevent destructive actions, often self-destructive actions. And if you want to take a look at where Texas may be heading, just look at the COVID hellscape that is Florida, look at Mississippi, look at Alabama. Texas benefits from the fact that their healthcare infrastructure is better than Mississippi and Alabama. Mississippi and Alabama are absolutely the worst. And look at what's happening in their ICUs. But it is hitting Texas as well. As I covered yesterday, 3 independent emergency rooms in Texas have had to close because the organization that runs them needed to take all of their staff and bring them to other facilities overloaded with COVID. So as we've said before, if you get into a car accident in Texas, you're vaccinated, you have a health issue that it's not even COVID related. You get into a car accident, there are now 3 ERs which simply will not be available because all of the staff needed to be brought elsewhere to deal with COVID, overwhelmingly in hospitalized unvaccinated patients. And this is going to continue. We'll take a quick break. After the break, I do want to talk about a bunch of you sent me these clips from an anti-vaccine rally in New York City. It's scary. It's scary. It's entertaining and it's cartoonish, but it's also really, really, really scary. We'll take a look at those videos right after this short break. One of our sponsors is Privacy.com. They're giving you $5 when you sign up for their completely free service at Privacy.com/Pacman. I've been using Privacy for a little over a year now. You've heard me talk about it before. It's a lifesaver, and here's how it works. It takes just a couple of minutes to set up. Anytime you buy something online or on the phone, instead of actually using your real credit card number, the Privacy app and the browser plugin let you give each company a randomized virtual credit card number that you create out of thin air. It'll even autofill the card number with one click. And the payment is taken out of your checking account without the merchant ever knowing your real information. So this allows you to keep your banking information secure, but also to take control of your finances. You can create up to 12 of these virtual credit cards a month. You can set spending limits. You can freeze them. You can delete them anytime you want. So when you do this, it means you're not going to be charged when you don't want to be because you can destroy the virtual card number right after using it, which, for instance, I love using free trials because I know I won't be charged when the trial is over if I use a virtual credit card number. You're keeping your identity private by not telling companies who you are. You're keeping your bank or credit card info protected against data breaches and identity theft. And it's free. And like I said, you'll get $5 to spend when you sign up at Privacy.com/Pacman.